Okay, guys, we're going online. It just doesn't make any sense not to show this to the world.
Okay.
Fabi,
wo bist? Fabian.
Where are you guys?
Fabi spielt DTO ein bisschen.
Okay.
Fabi plays
Stark.
DTO. Nice.
Wo ist der Martinho?
So how many are we in the crew, Mario? 18 or?
Matthias and Fabian are also coming, but I think Fabian is not. Let's see if Matthias is Martinho.
Yeah, we have 3 Matthias in our community, so we have to see.
Zuschauer.
I promoted him now.
Yeah, we have quite some.
Oh no, now he left. Oh no, he's here.
We have quite some viewers already, which is really nice.
7 viewers.
Not
Wow.
only, yeah, and we have 8 on Facebook and 4 on YouTube.
Jungs, hört ihr mich?
Ja. Nice, we have to speak
Erst Jungs, ich pick mal Pokécode-Sticker am Pulli drauf, warte mal.
I have the cap.
Perfect. Need to do the camera, Martinho.
Warte mal, wo ist denn die Kamera da? Warte mal.
And Martinho, we want to see your poker
We
code.
don't want to see
Okay.
your face.
Do you see me, guys? Okay.
Fish.
Ja, warte mal. So, schau mal.
Just to let everyone know, we're now live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter on PokerCode's accounts. Welcome, guys. We're very happy that Mario, our community coach, said that he would share his daily study routine with his boys, with his study group, the Sicke Wayna Bande. And actually, we're super happy because it shows, how other players are studying, what we're up to in the PokerCode community. And thank you, Mario, and all the others, Stefan, Martinho, Roland, and maybe there's some others coming, Fabi. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. It's nice to have you all here.
Okay. Mario, you can kick me now if you want, so that you guys can focus on the actual coaching, because I'm not a coach.
I if you want, you should just stay here. If you.
Okay, no problem. Then let's
Okay.
fucking go, and thanks for setting this up, and thanks everyone for attending.
Cool. I'm gonna start with sharing my screen. Okay. So right now it's a little bit of a bummer because Stars is doing a maintenance. We didn't know that. Usually how we do it is we set up, it's not going, we set up a home game on Stars and play a small tournament with between us, and we boom the hands we're not sure about, and then we go through the hands together and try to solve the spots and like try to optimize every part of it together. So this we have to wait, I think, 40 more minutes. So I would say we just start with going through the hands that we've already done in the past, and then once it's once Stars is back online, then we maybe start with the home game and then go through the process together once. But yeah, let's see how that goes. So I click that away. Generally, I think most of you know Boom Player is where you can post a link where you can boom the hand in the hand review from PokerStars, and then it gets uploaded to your account. And if you here click here on most recent, you put in your screen name, and then you see all the hands that you upload, and you can just review any hand that you like and go through it later on. And the strategy that we developed or that we set up is that we boom the hands, that we would like to know what the theoretical approach would be, and then we just copy the link. We had made here an Excel sheet, and if I would like now to just go through this hand and run the POSIM with it, it's like we just copy it, put the link in there, put the spot, the board, and if I did that, then I would be the owner of the spot, put it in POSolver, let it run, and then described means, I can show it here. So described means basically that we have run the sim. We have put the question in, here's the example is how to barrel a small blind against the big blind defending range in this spot. And then we put the sim in, and that not everybody has to go through the sim by itself, and like we take out the most available key points and write a small description of it, so everyone from us can get the idea how to generally approach a spot, how to answer the main question, why we boomed the hand, what were we unsure about, and if he wants to get deeper into it, then he can go to our PO server that we have here and load the sim again. For example, we have it structured. Let's take a really simple one, single raise pot, button against big blind let's take a really small one. 5 is this hand. It's basically raise button, big blind defense, on 9-7 deuce with a flush draw. My question was what my c-betting strategy with high card hands is, and which one to fold out equity and doesn't want to face a check raise. So we put that in, we go on pile solver, load 3, pretty simple. And then we have it numbered. So this is spot number 5, and we just open spot number 5 and we load it. And then in a few seconds, we have it here. And we just have it already set up. So we see the full tree, what the strategy is, how to approach the spot. Yeah, and then this is the whole process. So I explained it once, and now we can go through it together. I think first one is starting off this spot with Roland. I would say we just open the hand, and it was a single raised pot from the small blind into the big blind, 16 big blinds deep.
Can you try to make it bigger, Mario?
I'm not sure if the hand
It's
gets bigger.
responsive, or maybe you can on the 3 points on the top right in the browser, maybe you
zoom
can
in.
change the resolution.
Yeah. Perfect.
So who has the noise in the background, guys? Is there anyone who has the...
I don't think so.
Someone's mic goes crazy. Yeah,
Okay.
not sure who that is.
Matthias probably, yeah.
I think so, but
Maybe you can mute yourself when you're not talking. I think that will help already.
Yeah.
second.
So yeah, that's the first one. I think I ran this one instead of Roland. But yeah, I think to just get a communication about their going, I would say, who wants to start with the first spot? Nemi, Ole?
Mario, sorry for interrupting you, but is the noise is the noise like away?
I guess.
You're muted.
Yeah, es ist so ein Rauschen, wenn you're unmuted. It's a
Mute yourself, Martinho.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this is the first spot. I think we should start with a pretty easy one, which is second spot. I can take over the first one, and then can Nemi go for the second, and then Roland for the next. It was pretty easy. It was a simple spot, and I had a major question there is the c-betting sizing on the flop. That was my question, is can we bet all backdoor equity big on the flop, or how do we construct our range? And my in-game process was having a button against big blind 60 big deep on ace king deuce. I think usually we should have a big sizing. That was what I thought in game. And take it from there, I think. And then on the turn, once we pick up the flush draw, we have an easy big size barrel, and on the queen run out, we need to follow through. That's what I thought in the process, but I wasn't really sure about it. So I picked up this question, that really interesting discovery, that actually on ace king deuce 60 big blinds deep, that we want to structure our c-betting strategy a little bit different.
Can we exchange some thoughts?
Mario, I think that's the wrong tree.
Yeah, it's loading. That was the last one.
Let's exchange some thoughts, how good we are intuitively. Roland, do you agree with Mario's thoughts, and what would be your take on that board? Rolly, don't be shy.
We don't hear. Maybe you need to plug in your.
We cannot hear you, bro.
Maybe you have to. I think you have to go on settings and allow Zoom to hear you.
Or maybe you have to go to the Saturn, and then buy a
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you.
Okay, I changed the microphone.
Okay.
He lives in Tirol. There's the internet connection So, not that good.
What I just said, I think we want to have a big betting strategy here, because we have the nut advantage. We have the aces, the kings, the ace king, and big blind doesn't. So, but then is the question, which other hands you want to put in the big betting range? And I think good candidates are maybe like Jack 2 suited or Queen 2 suited, where we have now a blocker and then can follow through the turn and river. But I think also the specific hand, the Jack 7 in hearts, might be a good candidate, but I'm not sure. We also want to bet with ace queen with our strongest aces, with ace queen, ace jack, and then we need to have some bluffs. And the question is, which bluffs do we prefer to have? Which is that would be my take on this spot.
What would you do with pairs, 3s through 8s, and maybe suited connectors, so 3, 4 suited, 5, 6 suited, 7, 8 suited? Because intuitively for me, we're blocking villain's folding range, so unblocking his continuing range, which is actually not good for us to bluff with them. However, they benefit a lot when your opponent folds a lot of equity, 6 autos, etc. So what's your take on those categories?
So of course we don't only have a big betting range, we also have a small betting range. So we could also work those hands in the small betting range. So that's I haven't looked at the tree yet, because when the guys started the spots, my internet was not there, so I haven't looked at the spot. So, but of course, you want to have, I think you c-bet 100 on this board, I would guess, and you have a small betting range and a big betting range. I'm very curious to see which hands the beer is betting big.
I have a little bit of unfair advantage because I went through it already, so I'm a little biased. But I explained, I have a similar thought process when I played the spot to Roland. But now it's changed. I can actually pull it up, and I wrote an explanation here for the guys. That's why we put up described here, because the Boom Player is a nice comment section where instead of everyone having to run or like look at the sim again, we can just really quickly write down the main takeaways.
And we're all super stunned that actually no one replied to your comments on the hand.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the owner of the spot has to explain it to the group, and then not really reply is required. So like, but yeah, they replied when we called, because mostly we call directly through when we go through the hands. So I can pull up the spot here. I think the most interesting part is our
We do have a checking range.
c-betting strategy is actually quite different from what I thought in the first place. And we want to have some checkbacks, which mostly come from the middling pairs lower than the king that don't need that much protection. Some ace-x, as you see, we check back some aces with some frequency. But I think the most different part in the approach that I thought is that we want to bet more often big on this flop, which is actually not that true, because we only want to bet big 25 or 22% of the time, and we want to bet small with the most part of our range and check back some frequency. I think the reason for that is, yes, we have obviously a very strong range advantage. We want is if we see it in position, we have 61%, which usually leads to a big bet strategy if our range is so much stronger than the opponent's range. However, if we look at our on the range explorer, we both see now that, okay, we have all the sets, we have two pairs, we have 120 combos of top pairs, a lot of second pairs, but we still have 268 combos of nothing. And I think that's where the strategy comes from button against big blind, is yes, we have a huge equity advantage. If you see it here, red is the in position player and green is the out of position player. However, we still have a lot of hands that just have a really low equity. And I think by mixing big bet and small bet, we are able to maximize the EV of our nothing part of the range, which is a really substantial part. It's 268 combos, it's almost half of our range, and are able to fold out a lot of the big blinds range. Because if we change it here, the big blind is even crazier. 66% of his range is nothing, so basically auto folds. And if we size up, we obviously can bet less. So our strategy here, I think, comes from being able to fold out the nothing of our opponent with our nothing part of our range, and having the EV here from just folding out the weakest part of his range. And yeah, that's where mostly the small bet come from. We see we mix small bets with almost every combo, especially with the nothing part of our range. And strategy-wise, we have some big bet frequency, which is either over bet or 80% pot, and it mostly comes from two pair sets and our best gut shot. Our best gut shots. I'm gonna go through the chat here, pull that up.
Yes, there was a question, like someone asked if you would c-bet any under pair, and
would you c-bet under pairs too?
Yes, intuitively I would say, like, the smaller the pocket pair gets, the more protection it requires. So I would be inclined to bet like 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. More than queens, jacks, 10s, because it does not require that much protection, and you do not accomplish much by betting jacks, queens, 10s. And I think that's what PU also says, right?
Yeah, it's rather clear that we basically always want to check back queens, jacks, and 10s. We obviously want to balance that with some ace high back checks and some give ups, but really our EV in checking back queens here is quite substantial higher than with betting. Same goes for you, Bock, in the question. With pocket 10s, is the EV is 30.6 compared to small bet is always similar, but still only a little bit of E difference is already quite enough to make the strategy go into full checking. And I think the good takeaway is that in general on these boards, most of the time the pocket pairs right under the top card or right under the two top cards, we often want to check back, and then we want to balance that with check backs of the weakest top pairs and the weakest the weakest second pairs. And as Martinho said, we want to increase our betting frequency, not necessarily the sizing, because we're really benefiting from just folding out the huge amount of air in the big blind spot. That is the big blind.
I would also say that it also depends on the suits we have, right? Because if you look at pocket 8s, pocket 7s, it says like betting 50% of the time. Okay, no, not really. Because I would intuitively say like, if we want to check back pocket 9s, 8s, 7s, then probably with the diamond, and with the diamond, without the diamond, I would like bet because we deny some equity or charge flush draws, for example. But I guess like we can see. It does not really matter. Like,
yeah, for me, it's still I thought about that as well, and for me, it's always rather difficult to find out the strategy, which specific combinations to block, and which specific combinations to take for betting. And I think that goes extremely into detail, and currently I think getting a grasp of what the strategy is and the logic behind it, I think, is the key to learning the spots. And I think the main key is that, yes, we have a range advantage, yes, we have a huge equity advantage, we have the nut, way more nuts than him, but still want to rather go for small sizing. Yeah, that's the. How do you see that, Roland and Johannes, once you saw the PU tree?
The interesting thing is that our big sizing bluffs are like the deuce blocker. We have the queen deuce suited and the jack deuce suited, and we right away turn them into a bluff and put a lot of pressure on the opponent. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And also the good gut shots are also in the big betting range as our bluffs. And for our value, we have the ace king, ace queen, and ace jack, and some ace tens. So it makes a lot of sense. And aces and kings prefer a lot by betting small because they need no protection at all.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good strategy to take our deuce X and start into a bluff. Because if we think about Villain's range, his strongest hands is deuces, and his other strong hands are king deuce and ace deuce. So by blocking these, he has so many auto folds and gets even a tricky spot with king X.
I think he has to start to fold some king X when you bet 80%.
Yeah, like if we bet here, and we even bet them 180 or 160. Let's go for the 160. And if we look at
he folds nearly every king X.
He folds nearly every king, and he also starting to fold aces on the flop already, which is pretty interesting. So like, yes, they call all the strongest ace X, but all the middling without the backdoor straight draw are already folding, and that makes a huge EV gap in the difference. Obviously, if you're in game, you have to as Severin fold points out, in real life nobody's folding a king. But yeah, then you can just change strategy and put more value hands in your big betting range. So you don't have to split the sizing with your ace queen, ace jack, ace 10. You just put more value hands in there if that is the impression that you have. So
in the chat, somebody said, honestly, I think we can't be balanced here if we use a big betting, because we'll never bet big with ace king and king deuce in game. So basically, the biggest part of our betting big range will be semi bluffs. I think that's not true. When we also bet big with like ace queen and ace jack, we gain a whole lot of EV against the other ace X hands, and he can't fold just any ace X. So we also want to bet big with ace queen, ace jack, and we gain a lot of EV by a big betting range.
Yeah.
So
I think yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
And if you say we never bet big with ace king and king deuce and can't bet balance, therefore, I would suggest why not? Like, it's if you're playing against another regular, obviously if you play against someone It's not as that experienced. You obviously want to adapt the strategy a little bit. But if you play against another regular, you can put it in really dicey spots by having more and having bigger sizing on your hands. It obviously makes the game tree a little bit wider and more difficult, but it also does that for your opponent, and it makes it possible for him to make mistakes. And I think that's what you do. You in-game bet big with ace queen?
Yeah,
yes.
That's why we want to bet big. You get so much value from the other ace x and from the king x, because when we bet big, it's like the 80%. We looked at the 160% because somebody said in real life nobody folds a king. I think when you bet 160, you have easy time to fold the king x without the backdoor flush draw, because you have all the ace x in your range. So I think when you bet overbet, you fold out kings.
Yeah. To the specific hand, do you guys not look here? Just we do look at the GTOs, because we play with predetermined ranges in game, and then we try to play as theoretical as possible. Obviously, against each other, there are some, not exploits, but like some tendencies that we go for, but we try to play as theoretical as possible. Like Martinho, we always call down because he's always bluffing. Pretty easy. But the very interesting part was I misplayed check 7 rather clearly on the flop, because if you look at the specific combo, we have almost no big sizing, and mostly betting small and checking. And that's something that didn't came into my mind at all, that we should check back this combo on the flop. I think Johannes pointed out very correctly, maybe that's the reason why, because we block his folding range. Not exactly sure why Pio comes to the conclusion to check back our backdoor flush draws, but definitely not a big sizing on the flop. As you can see here, the check 7 is mostly a small bet or a check, and definitely not a big sizing, and doesn't benefit so much from betting big.
I think it's not so strange that Pio doesn't want to always bet the backdoor flush draws, because Pio is, as we all know, very interested in having board coverage on all runouts. And if you don't have any backdoor flushes in your flop check back range, you would just get insanely exploited, because anyone can basically overbet and jam against your check back if diamonds run out. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I think that's the problem with the hand, that it starts on the flop, that I choose the big sizing. If I choose the big sizing with this combo, which I did, we obviously have only a few combos left. He calls. On the turn is, what turn do we get?
I think we should mention the sizing we used. So we used 20%, 40%, 80%, and 160%. And as you see, with 80%, nobody folds a king. And with 160%, then you start folding king x, because somebody said you in real life never fold a king.
Yeah.
And that's why we bet big with ace queen and ace jack, because those hands are calling, and you get a lot more value from them instead of betting 20%.
Mm-hmm. On the turn, 6 of hearts brings me the flush draw. And if I want to see it, the specific strategy is, we obviously have very low combos. That's why it's so, I maybe should put it away. But if we come to the few combos that we choose to the big sizing on the flop with check 7, we get the backdoor flush draw, and there's the same interesting approach, where with our check 7 flush draws, we check back some and bet the rest for I think 80% of the turn again, and don't barrel them through, as I thought in game. Okay, we pick up the backdoor flush and we want to barrel them through. It's absolutely not like that, and we rather want to have check backs more often in this specific combination with the check 7.
But you used the small sizing on the flop, right?
I did use the small sizing, but for getting to the river with the line that I took, we have to choose the big sizing with the low frequency. And yeah, so I would like to see myself bet small on the flop. And once I bet small on the flop, we can show that too. 14% sizing, he calls 6 on the turn, goes check. And even here, we almost have a pure check back. And that is very surprising to me that we stop. Thanks for doing. Yeah, for sure, Johannes, no problem. We want to check back our turned flush draws with rather some frequency, especially the check high and 7 high flush draws, which is very surprising and for me counterintuitive, but definitely something that I want to implement for sure. And yeah, that is I think the major takeaway for me here.
Sorry for interrupting you, but don't you think it also has to, or it depends on the stack to pot ratio, because maybe PU wants to check back flush draws on the turn, because if we bet and big blind jams, then we have to fold our draw. I think if we would, I could imagine that if we were like 50, 60 big blinds deep, I think PU would love to barrel here, because you put King X in a tough spot, even Ace X. Weak Ace X.
I think we are 60 pp deep.
We are 60 pp deep, and I think.
Oh, it was so okay. Okay, then
I
never
think
mind.
yes. I think on the turn there are merits for not getting blown off the equity from a check raise. But however, the really check raises that are from villain are Ace6 and King6 and 6 deuce. If we bet small, if we bet big, 6 deuce falls out and 6s fall out too. And if we go the line with the small bet, we check, bet 14, call, 6 peels off. It goes check. We still want to check back with the queen, check 7, with a lot of most of the time. And if we think about how much is in the pot on the turn, we have 86 in the pot, and we still have 550 behind. Even if we go for the 80% pot bet, we can easily bet call on the turn, so we don't really get blown off the don't really have to worry about getting blown off the equity too much, and still we want to have the check backing range there a lot. But yeah, I think that's the main takeaway, that we, yes, on the flop we have a huge equity advantage, but we cannot barrel off that crazily on every single run up. That just makes it really difficult. Yeah. Does anyone have questions on this spot, on the strategy? Then we can start the second one.
Yeah, let's start the second one.
Name me, which one would you like to do? Single raise spot, ace. Let's do the numbers.
The ace-6-3 rainbow.
I think you went through this one.
I think it's the number 3.
Yeah, I think it's the.
It's against you, my friend.
Yes, the 20 big blind. Stars is up.
Stars is up.
Yes, let's do this. Okay.
Let's jump into the action.
Jump into the action. Okay. Okay. Let's start one. And then we can together decide which hands we want to go through together.
Can you create the home game, Mario?
Yes, I'll create it. So, not sure if someone hasn't played Martinho, I'm gonna mute you. it's pretty simple. Like you just go to more, if someone wants to create a home game, go on home games, either create a club or join a club. We have already one, and then we have and you can, as the club manager, you can create tournaments. So switch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna study session number 1, 1400 exactly, so in 8 minutes. That's a strategy. It takes about 15 minutes to play this this sit and go together with the structure. It's really nice to have all stack sizes. We start with 60 blinds. That's a really nice structure to use. And we always play 4 tables together to get a lot of hands in. Start session 3. Create tournament. Number 4. Perfect. So we're gonna register all of them. And I'm not sure how we're gonna do this, because if we speak about the hands, or if I share my screen with the guys, then they can see my cards. And we always have a side bet on the games as well. So probably gonna, for the time being of the grind, I'm gonna kick the guys, and you promise to not watch the stream, and I'm just gonna share my thoughts in game with the with the chat that you're hopefully not involved in. I'm gonna.
I don't need to see your cards to beat you, man. I beat you anyway.
Gonna tell Fabi to join. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave the chat open. If you have any hands that you would like for me to boom and that we go through together, just tell me which table and which hand, and I'm just gonna boom it, and then we can implement it in the sheet, and then we can just run the simulation on PileSolver together. And that's how we usually do it, is we play one, then there are so many hands, everyone collects like 50 hands, but I experienced that with every session that we do, it's getting less and less hands, and that's probably the ultimate goal at the end, that we don't have too many questions anymore. However, that's a long way to go, and it also helps a lot with putting fun into the studying, because you have one competitive side, you play against each other, you play the hands as theoretically as optimal as possible, and then you go through them together, and everyone puts the ideas in, and yeah. So
yes, and I even think that even after like 2 or 3 days, we made pretty big progress, I would say, because
for sure, yes,
we learned how to maneuver on certain flops, etc. So
yeah,
I think we made a big progress even after 2 or 3 days. So I really like it.
Me too.
Do we want to discuss the spot?
Guys, I'll be here in 1 minute.
Did we? Yes. Let's go through the spot till it starts. So why don't we have to check?
Can you please open the boom player again to watch the spot again? Because I don't know exactly what the action was.
The action from the hand that Nemi streamed before was I open button. He's defending 18 blinds deep. And
around 17.
Yeah. Go for a small size. I think I have a range small sizing in this.
I also think so.
Spot, and he goes for the check raise. And I wasn't sure. And the question is, what's the check raising strategy from the big blind? And should he check raise his rare ace-x, and question 2, if he check raises x6, ace-x, can we barrel off in position against the check call on the flop? Because that's the thought that I had. If he's check raising, he doesn't have that many aces, only the weakest offsuit ones. If he's check raising those, it gets very dicey for him if he's going for the check call. So that was the question that we had in game, how to approach the spot, and I think Nemi went through it. So take us along, my friend.
Yeah. Also, can you please open the boom play again to see the?
Yeah.
We were, I think, 17 or 18 big blinds deep, and Mario opens the button. I defend. I think I had ace-4 offsuit. Maybe a reason to jam, but I think the EV is higher by flatting the big blind. And on the flop, and Mario has I think as range c-bet, which is very interesting. It's more about the big sizing. Yes,
that's interesting. Yeah, we have the 80% bot, the 40%, and the 25%. And yeah, that was very interesting. I thought we rather go for the full range small size. However, that's not the case. Oh, starting, my friends. Let's jump back to this hand later, and let's start with
guys. Good luck.
You're gonna have to leave the call, and then you join later.
Okay.
Once.
See ya.
Once it's back. Okay. Okay, guys. So any hand that you would like to boom, I'm gonna leave the chat open here, and we're gonna drop you.
All right, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Okay.
I have to put my tables above Mario's.
Ole, you have to leave too.
How can I leave?
The Zoom call.
Okay.
Otherwise, you see my hands, my friend.
Where can I?
Okay. So this is Roland, as you know, Fabi, Martinho, and gonna have the ranges on the side here. Lower the volume a little bit. So fold. Ace 8 suited, open, defend. So 60 deep. Cut off. Yes. I think pretty easy check call on the flop. Would rather check raise our strongest check X, but pretty simple check call. Against 2 players, I have generally here on the table number 2, a low seed betting frequency. Gonna check it. Against a small sizing on this board, still have a check call. I think I can mix in some check raises, but not with the weakest kicker. Queen 4 suited is, I think, still a fold. Not the ante. Still gonna give up. Okay, interesting. What is he checking back on the turn? I think he's betting some 10x this way, some give ups. He could have 8-9, Queen 9 that he's not deciding to barrel. I think my strategy with the check is mostly a small sizing, so I go for block bet. Show him the 3. Yeah, give it up here. Check 5 off. I think we mix limping and folding. No, it's a pure limp. So we all play with the same ranges, so it's easier to put them into BioSolver afterwards. Yeah, so we have like predetermined ranges, because like if you play with different ranges, it gets tricky what range to put in BioSolver, because there is always discussion here. I'm not raising this hand or calling this hand or 3-betting this hand, but if you play, everyone plays the exact same ranges, then it's very clear. Obviously, it's not the GTO perfect solution, but for the surrounding that we are in, which is playing preflop with the predetermined hands, it's easier to study, in my opinion, or in our opinion. And yeah, that makes it really interesting. So if someone has not boomed a hand yet and would like to do that, it's pretty easy. We go here on hand. So basically the hand history as you know it, which either we can visualize and go through the hand again, or that's the other option. We can just click here on boom and share it on boom. And then the boom hand, I pull it up here, gets uploaded. So we can see the check 3 suited hand. We already have uploaded on Boom Player, and we could write a comment is, for example, what's our rear sizing versus check back turn with weak check X. And then we can, what we do is we post the link, put them in the study sheet, and then we have it right there ready. Yeah, and I would say we play now for, usually takes 50 minutes to play a session like this, for 25 minutes. And after 25 minutes, I'm gonna swap seats with Roland, and he's gonna take over the commentaries of his play in the later stages, so you can see his thoughts as well. I'm gonna tell him that in a second. Yeah, so at 14:25, Roland is gonna take over. King 10 suited is gonna be sometimes a 3-bet against either button raise or small blind raise, but against the small blind it's probably an ISO. 60 blinds deep, King 10 suited, 4x. Limp 50. I have the ranges on the side here, that makes it easier. 9-6 off, limp fold. Gonna see. I think we want to bet very frequently with a small sizing. I could see it being a bigger sizing with this specific combo as well, due to the fact we have the nut gut shot backdoor flush draw, and we're blocking strongest king check and check X, but I'm going for a small sizing. Go smaller. Not sure about this one, but I think it's fine to choose both. Once it goes check call, I think I want to rather have hands like 10-8, queen, queen 10, and pure bluffs instead of the king high if the nut gut shot as a bluff. However, I'm not sure about it. I'm gonna for sure boom this hand But I think checking back on the flop, because like his limp call range is rather strong after the check call. It's probably in theory too strong to bluff, so I'm not gonna do it once it's checked down. But I'm pretty confident that I'm almost never good, because he should start bluffing his weaker hands at this stage. Yeah, I think it's too strong. A6. Ace check, easy open. Ace check here again. Ace 4 is out of opening range. Johannes, I'm not sure if you there. Can you show me how to change Roland to being able to share his screen later in about 15 minutes? That would be perfect. I think we don't want to float weak ace highs out of position even against the small sizing. Okay, got it. Even against the small sizing, I think we want to fold it out and, oh wait, sorry, ace 10 is a clear open. Sizing wise with ace king 4.5 seems fine. King 8 in the small blind against the big blind, either button for 30 is in our determined ranges either a call or 3-bet fold, going for the aggressive lines. I think it's a decent candidate to start betting once fives, bro. Once we have the backdoor flush to without it, I would just give it up. Here on queen 7-3, it's fine to go for, I think a little bit, yeah, to go for small sizing with a lot of our range, as well, because we benefit from folding some of the offsuit ace sex, and the smallest pocket pairs. So it's gonna be fine, and the check on the turn. Oh, on the ace, I think we gotta continue. Okay, so we agreed on having actually only 25, 40, 80, and 180. Once the turn peels, and since we only have these 4 sizing, because that's what we put in Passover, we now either have a check give up or a bluff, and I think we benefit, but at this stage I think we benefit more from a smaller sizing, because it's still calling our jam with the queen x and the ace x obviously, but he's folding out all the other pocket pairs. Not sure what are our bluffs here. Love to. Yeah, I think it's at this stage is very queen x and a6 heavy, and I'm not sure about the turn. I think I can just give it up as well. It's probably better. So, but yeah, I think once it's on the river, I gotta give it up. Flop is, I think, on this board texture, a big sizing and once called on this specific turn. Big sizing again. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna for sure boom this hand. I'm trying to think about what other hands I could bluff if I'm not bluffing King 10 on the turn. That makes it more difficult. Okay. Queen 10 off in the small blind for 30. It's also 3-bet, some frequency. Check raised flop. Obviously having all the overpairs. I have no 7, he has some 7s. So he could use that to bluff, but I really am not sure if we want to start bluffing with queen jack of hearts. Difficult, I'm not sure. Would love to know what you guys think. Probably is fine checking back this combo. Once he checks the river, I think he's rather bluff heavy. I'm not sure if he's going thin for value with the 10 on the flop and then it's checking twice. So I think I have a 40% bluff on the river to fold out his king, queen, king, check. I'm blocking, that's the kind of the issue that I'm blocking his folding range. However, yeah, queen check of hearts for sure. Gotta boom that one. And boom. I think I don't need a big sizing because he's either having the 10 or not. And I think having a reasonable small sizing is enough. Maybe his check raising is 9-8, ace 9 with the backdoor flush draw. So making him a little bit of a tough spot, but I think 40% is totally fine. I'm not sure why that's not taking it. Fold, Fabi. Interesting line for sure. So I boomed the king 10 hand and I'm gonna boom the queen. Fabi's listening, bro. I would be so sick. Sicker English shoot. Oi! Tschüss. Okay, I'm gonna boom this one. I'm not sure about the turn. And I think flop, I have to use this hand with a small sizing. It's a little bit tricky because he's all the overpairs that I don't, and he has more 7s than me. So that makes it tricky, and that's why he is correctly check raising quite a bunch, but my hand is strong enough to call a check raise. And so I think small bet is fine on the flop to fold out his weakest ace, ace-x. No, it's not folding ace-x, but like his weakest hands overall. And then on the turn, it's tricky. I think it's both fine, both checking. And I would assume Payo is mixing both. Yeah, not sure about it. But I think I can go both ways. So I bumped this one. And then on the river, I think I just want to fold out his air. 20 blinds deep, queen check suited. I assume that's like mostly check back. Yes. Okay, what is this? It's pretty nice to have the ranges how everyone has to play. And yeah, king queen is just a reshove against that. On my range, check back, king queen, queen check is still the way better hands to use as a bluff on the turn. The issue is I probably would bet a lot of 8x on the flop, so I don't have that many of them. 6 low roar. I think I'm raising this sometimes, but let me confirm. Yep, it's in the ISO range. Oh, pair is off. Call. ISO this. Queen 4 is a fold. Okay, Roli. Come with the rare bluffs on the river. I think it's an overcall. Queen 9. So I'm not sure which sizing is. I'm probably would just want to go for a linear small sizing. Maybe a little bit bigger, but just thing is what I'm attacking with it. Not really sure. Not sure if it's just betting is and he's not having ace x or king x. It's probably good enough to go to showdown. Yeah, it's not folding that. That it's a tricky hand. I think queen check off is just too good, with the assumption that he's not betting his king x ever and his ace x. Then he just has so many check calls. Open queen 10, it's in fold. And then against the big back check, I think I can go for either an overbet or a normal bet, since I block 6-8, which is significant here. I'd rather go for the overbet on the turn. That's a high frequency, big sizing, and I think we even want to go for an overbet some frequency, but I think 80% makes the benefits the same. And from what I remember going through this spot, I think we can mix in some random overcards, quite a bunch. So since I only have 80% here, that's fine. That is fine. I think on the turn I'm now mixing, checking, and betting. What hands do I want to have? I'm unblocking the backdoor flush draw, which he could be continuing with. So I think I want to continue betting with a spade and check back the non-spade hands to not overbluff. But I'm not positive about it. Gonna boom this one as well. Check back on ace-8 for pair heavy, king high heavy, and ace-6 heavy. So I'm not gonna start bluffing against this range. Once it goes check, check, now he has an easy call with a 7 on the river. Actually, does he? But he's sticky. Martinho is very sticky. So I think I should not try to get him off the 7. 5-4. And I'm gonna win against a few of these. I was lucky. Yeah, still queen high is fine. I'm not gonna win too much, but it's also difficult to get him out of his double check back range. So I'm gonna give it up. Yeah, he would have folded this one. That's one of the hands. Queen 5, I think it's a pure call. 20 blinds deep. flop, I think I can reasonably stab quite a lot. I'm gonna actually get Roland into the car. Back. Gonna call him. Yeah, but I think I should check also quite a bunch. Oli?
Was?
Kommst du wieder in den Call, dann adde ich dich hinzu und dann machst du das. Übernimmst
Okay.
du. Kann ich dann einfach wieder promoten.
Okay, warte.
Okay, I'm gonna promote him. You're the co-host now, Rory. Don't
All right.
watch what I have.
Hello again.
Now you can share your
Back.
screen.
How can I share my screen?
Yeah.
How?
You go into Neue Freigabe in the one on the top, and then you can start sharing yours.
Wo ist neue Freigabe?
Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Here on the top, you see Stummschalten, wieder abbrechen, Teilnehmer, FAQ, and then here you want to click on this one.
I don't got it. Maybe Bildschirm freigeben?
Genau, Bildschirm freigeben.
This is not on there. All right. Then I hope to
Perfect.
see.
So you're
my
gonna
hands.
take over, and also you, So I'm gonna.
So where is the chat? I can't open the chat anymore. Never mind, I have no chat.
Okay, I'm gonna close it for my side.
You see what I have, man.
I clicked it away.
All right.
I'm not. Okay. I'm gonna put it on silent as well. Gonna exit there.
Here's the chat. Wait, where's the chat? No, I can't see the chat. Here's the chat. Yeah, Road is not familiar with the technique. Now we are here. So I've never talked during a game, but let's try it. So here we have, we've hit this hand. I think just the bottom of our range. 8-4 is forward. I think it's a jam to do this. Okay, that's big. That's kind of tricky. The thing is, he bets small on the flop against two players, so he has all the 10x over pairs with the sizing. Yes, also the better flush draws. Could also have queen check sizing. Maybe some queen high flush draws. Queen 7. Not too many. Doesn't have too many reverse flush draws. Hmm.
Or explain a little your thought processes. I'm
Do
gonna
you
put
hear me
myself on mute.
actually?
No, I don't. I put you on silent, so I don't hear it. But to the chat that they hear you.
Okay. I think I overfilled here. He has not many worse flush draws, and he has all the better flush draws, and still all the overpairs, all the 10x, and I think you can just maybe we are deeper for sure call. Maybe it's a lead forward. Maybe it's an easy defend of the mate. We can just check jam. I think we have like 12 blinds, flop some equity. And against the check raise, I think we do continue here. Because we are betting like range on this flop, small. So this is a close rejam with king 10 offsuit. I would jam with 15 blinds. I guess king jack is for sure a rejam. I feel like, I mean, 5 flush draw is way too bad. We have the ace in hearts, it's way easier. Just give this one up. Here we just stab. I think in small versus big blind pots, when there are two Broadway cards, it's better for the small blind range. If the pair try to go to the showdown. Where's the chat? Let's see. Oh, here's the chat. Fortunate deuce jam. I mean, I had 14 blinds in the small blind. It's just very profitable to just jam. You don't want to limp or anything and play against all the overcards post flop. It's just you take just the EV spot. So now still has a gut shot. I think with ace highs, he just checks back. 8, he also checks back. Doesn't have too many queen and check X. Or might have some check and queen X with backdoor flush draws, which he's betting now. I think we just continue. He definitely has like queen 4, jack 4, all these kind of floats with backdoors, and he just bets them on the turn. Now the flush is not that good because all the floats with the flush draw get there, but the floats without the flush draw doesn't get there. Can still value bet king, I think. So it's very tough with a 9 here. Just thinking about it. Yeah, he bets like a sizing where he can still value bet the king. With the 6 in clubs, I mean, the hands he bluffs with might be like queen 6 in, no, makes no sense. But like queen 6 in hearts, queen 5 in hearts, jack 5 in hearts, jack 4 in hearts, jack 2 in hearts. Better bets are of course flushes, also the straights. And he bets like a sizing where he can have some king X. Yeah, it's not good combo to bluff catch. Maybe 9 and the queen in diamonds would be like a bit better bluff catch where I block the load queen high diamonds with all the backdoors. 6. I mean, I don't unblock anything. I don't know. Not sure. Yes, I think too much value compared to his bluffs, so that's why I folded. See, we have more interesting spots here. Queen 5 offsuit. I think it's still a defend here. Maybe flop some equity, we can just check jab. Never mind. Here we are heads up against Tias, aka Martinho. It's huge lead, but I think the ace deuce we can rejam with 15 blinds against the button. On the loser side, but I think it's fine. When we are like deeper, I wouldn't reshuffle the ace deuce, ace three. But with under 15 blinds, it's too good. Here, I mean, we can just open jam. Mario got us. I think we just jam this hand. Let's see what the NCP ranges say. Yeah, it's a jam. Maybe we'll call it off against the jam. So there's the rule when you call a jam anyway, you can just also jam those hands. Then you get the limp from the opponent. I think king three is the Olympic jam is too. We would still have limping range. The jamming range and king three is too weak for jamming. Might be a probable jam, but it's close, so we just want to have in our limping range. Can I make the windows bigger? Of course. Ace 10. Do we want to limp or just jam? I think we want to trap with more suited hands with ace 10 suited. I think it's better to just draw. Or with king queen suited, king jack suited, ace 10 off. I think it's better to jam. Jack 6 with 9 blinds. So 7-6 suited is a nice love shove. Get to fold out a lot of dominated hands like 9-6 off, 10-7 off. So the king high under 10 blinds, small blind, is jam. Snap call with Jack 7-0. It's interesting. I mean, I can just solve it right away for you guys. Nice, Miser. I do want to have some good checkbacks, and I think weak 9x are a good candidate. Let's open Icy Miser and let's see. So I think now we can bet down. And of course the tank call by Mario with aces. So maybe at the hand. I think it's still for, I don't know. So if I see myself, why do I have a lock-in? Okay, 4 players. I think the ante was 20. So we have exactly one and this amount and that doesn't. So let's see. I think we have GPB. So let's look at our calling range. As you see, Jack 6-0 is it's not a call there, my friend. Das 400 ist gerade an der Bubble, Alter. Das PLO-Event.
Slim. A6, 15 to 20. Can open shove it. King 8 is an off call for 10. Jam, what does he have? 6s. Oh, so sick. Okay, I'm gonna suck him out here. Hold. Got one. Mm-hmm. It's a forward. Position 15. 6 offs. Jam.
Holy shit, Alter. How can you win every time, Mario? I'm like so much down in our home games. It's insane. They just put on my trousers, man. Sitting there
Call the
without.
bluff. I think betting here with the 8 is fine. We should also sometimes check back, but folding out this random queen deuce off or 10-3 off is available here. Question is, do we want to bet the queen again? I would say no. We'll just check it back and turn the worst card. It's also here a give up. If he's bluffing, he can bluff out my combo. Yes, 10-7. Win against this one. Yeah. That over here. 10 is a limp. We're gonna trap Martinho. Gonna snap him off. 6 is again. Hope he's not gonna hit it. Nice. Almost got the second one. Three. That's fine too. A free roll. Checking back.
You mean
Flop.
a free roll, man?
Yeah, I mean, as likely he hits it as I hit it. 8-3 off. 2 blinds. It's too much inside already. He's checking back flop. This does have quite some 9x, but also some 8x that he starts now betting. I think I want to call 1. Yeah, it's a pretty rough river. Actually, I think bluffing and leading out this combination is not too bad. It's my worst hand that I come here with. He's betting most of his 5x on the flop, most of his flush draws on the flop, and he's some 10x, but I'm targeting his 9 and 8x. I think I can get some folds from there, and if I'm checking, he's always bluffing and following through. So, and I also want to lead out my straights and flushes on the river. Now he's gonna boom this one. I think in theory, I'm not sure if I want to lead it, but I think getting a fold from an 8 is available, and stopping from bluffing myself is also available. Come on, Amy. Sick tank. Yeah. I'm not sure about this one. I'm gonna boom it. What do you think, Ori? Flop is check, check.
Yeah, as you said, wait. What was the action?
Flop is check, check. He bets now on the turn. River brings the 8 in spades.
I don't like the lead. I think with a lot of 10x,
Yeah.
you would bet by yourself, and like you don't have like ace 10 where you can check turn, or king 10 where you have like showdown value and you don't need to bet. But I think most 10x and 5x with betting by yourself. Also flush draws.
True. I lead them on the turn. Yeah, I don't like it. Agreed. Agreed. Better in position. One blind. I think I want to mix bet and check on the turn. Probably going to check this combo. My weakest 9. I also have the 8 and the 4. If the straight arrives, that I have some x, say 6x that I'm checking back. So I'm gonna check this one. And I think in the river I can go now for a bigger sizing, since actually has some 9x that are stronger, but I still think he's gonna lead them. And he has some hero calls.
Yeah, you can go big.
Yeah. How do I see this? I think king 6 off is an easy call. Is it that? Hit! Ah, so many odds.
You're
No.
like, oh, never mind.
No. Okay. Now we're gonna add all the boys again and add them to the call. Do it here. Okay. Okay. Gonna add Fabian. Johannes, I'm gonna. Okay. So gonna close all these. Wait for them to come online.
Congrats on the ship, Mario.
Thank you, Johannes. That's
How does it feel to win another tournament?
Feels good, and winning 2 is phenomenal.
Ah, you won 2 even. Congrats.
I won 2. Yeah.
And we saw the results of the last tournaments, and it was basically only Nemi and you in the list, and San Martino, but like Holy was missing completely.
Or is down infinite. I think he's down 20 binds. But also he's
Okay, it's 6 max hypers that you're playing, or turbos, or
it's not, I would not see it as like that's just the, it's 5-minute levels. You start with 2K, 6 players. I think regular and then game speed normal. So it's not that quick, but it's decently speed. So now you see we started at exactly 1400, so at 1 hour, and you can get a 6 max sessions through. And now we collected enough hands to gonna promote the guys. Not sure if Fabian is Fabian, but
I can look if it's him. Yes, I think it's him.
bro, you won the bet. He was watching.
Was he?
Yeah, I would assume like he's one of the viewers, but that's okay.
You just promote him and ask him, and if it's not Fabian, then it's one of our community members.
Okay.
I think it's Fabian.
Okay. How do I do this now? Oh, now. Okay, now it's the everyone. Perfect. Fabi,
Hallo, hört's mich?
you watched my screen.
No. I just joined the live stream after I
Okay, mehr lügen. Was?
Ich schwöre.
Rolly, do you also play at the home game?
Who?
Rolly.
But he was.
I didn't see him.
He was just putting in the binds,
Sponsoring.
making the prize pool bigger. Okay, so that was the
Somewhere the
first,
money has to come.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first part of how we usually structure. We play one, so now we collected enough hands to go through them, and it's also more fun to do it that way, and it's fresh hands that we discussed. So then we just open each of our boom players. I'm gonna do that right
So
now.
basically,
with my
you
hands.
do it because of the fun. You're honest, Mario, because you have hundreds of hands already. And the
Yes.
argument with the fresh hands is also like if they're from yesterday or today, it's like
It doesn't really matter, but it makes the starting part more enjoyable.
It's a good
And-
mix.
Yeah,
Play
it's a good mix.
starting.
Yeah, and we did like a few days where we like did this for 12 hours or like 10 hours with 3 sessions,
Mm.
and it just feels way less
work. Mm.
dry. Yeah, and especially if you put the PU sims in. Okay, that's the first one. I just boomed it to show. I think it's pretty standard. Flop is, I think, pure check call with the weak check. And once it checks down, I can go either for check call on the river or a small size.
Can you zoom in again?
Oh yeah. So yeah, what do you guys think?
I think both options are fine. I mean, with a small bet, you can like charge 10x, which check back the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think both.
Actually, now when I think about it, I think big sizing is also fine too, because
It depends how wide you want to value bet. If you want to like only value bet like Jack X and
yeah.
I don't know. Like the smaller you bet, of course, the more you can the wider you can value bet.
I think I want to bet small with our stronger 10x, and yeah, but I think it's both fine, and I have enough flushes. I have all the straights.
I had ace queen offsuit in the spot. Any approaches?
Did you have a club in your hand?
No.
Okay.
And no heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think small sizing on the flop is fine, and then just we have without a
Just
club. I
go
would
to
give it up.
showdown.
I think so. Yes.
I mean, with a club, you could go for a raise on the turn, or maybe for a double barrel.
Yeah.
On the river, it gets tricky. I think on the river, once you come with ace queen there.
I think if you check also back your like nut flushes or second nut flushes on the turn, I think if you still have flushes in your range, I would like a raise with like ace queen with the one club. You block straights, you block flushes, you block the stronger top pairs, the stronger second pairs.
I think you can go thinner than flushes on the river. Like if you make 10-9, check 9, ace check that you sometimes check back on the turn. I think that's a fine candidate to go for the raise. Obviously, you need some strong call-offs against the bet jam from my side. But I think a flush draw is mostly barreling the turn. I flush, no, I've made flush.
I think
Depends, I think.
you should have some bets on the turn without a club. I mean, on the turn you should not polarize, so you bet like a small sizing with basically a lot of your hands. And I think ace queen is a little bit too good, but with king queen or with no club or queen 9 with no club, I think those hands you should bet also turn. Then you also have bluffing candidates on the river for a club, and you do get a lot of folds from 2x or 10x without a club, I think. So queen, ace queen could be also in there. So like in this virtue kind of bet from 1/3 where you have flushes, top pair, over pairs, flush draws, and some straight draws.
But I think you also have to ask yourself the question, like, what do you want to accomplish? If you like bet on the turn, you're like saying you want to like fold out 10x.
Get
I would
2-6,
say.
you get all
Yeah.
2-6 with
2-6 for sure, but like I don't
no good
think.
flush draw.
Yeah.
And maybe some 10x without the flush draw, some big 10x
Yeah.
without a flush draw. You're also betting all your top pairs and over pairs with the sizing, so you're pretty balanced, and also your flushes, so you don't polarize yourself on the turn. So you can also bet with those hands like king queen, also with no club or queen 9. And I'm not sure if you can put ace queen in there because you gain a lot of folding out those 2-6 and maybe some big 10x, and you can bluff.
That's true.
Good rivers.
Okay, I think that's the first one that I wasn't sure about. I'd like to run the sim there. And obviously, it takes a little bit to run the sim, so we cannot do that on the spot. But we're just gonna discuss it and then see the results of the simulation later. It's the same flop. Queen 7-3 rainbow. 3-bet. SP versus button. How many blinds deep? I think 30. Gonna own this one. What do you think?
That was against me.
Yeah, I now know what he had. But I think on the flop, I should, with this hand strength of king high, I want to go for a small sizing, fold out 5s, 4s. Actually, I think it's defending them, but like weaker offsuit, ace-x, and yeah, I think the small sizing on the flop is fine. What do you think?
I mean, I think my calling range is 10 off and ace 9 off. So you follow those, which is huge. And also some suited aces with no backdoor flush draw, which might fold, like ace 6, ace 8, ace 5, ace 2. But I do jam also a lot of them, like ace 5. So, but I like the bet because you followed ace 10, ace 9. And
you also block like king queen, which is defending. You block like queen 10, which is good.
And some random air hands like 9-8 or 10-9 or
like with this stack size, he's not able to like float very wide, so he cannot peel like with 9-8 of hearts, for example. I don't think he can with this stack size. He has to fold. So I think a small bet accomplishes very much.
On a turn, I really wasn't sure because I feel like your calling range on the flop is very pair heavy. I think I get to fold out 5s, 4s, maybe 8s, which I actually not in the range. It would pre-jamming them pre.
What did you say, Mario? You think his calling range, or what did you say?
His calling range is very strong on the turn, I think.
I mean, I have still like 9-7 suited, 8-7 suited, 6-7 suited.
Like I said, I don't think he's like floating many ace highs on the flop. He's not with this stack size. I think he's very queen x and 7x heavy, and
How deep are you?
Sure. We start with 30.
I mean, I think it depends how you construct your range. Like if this stack to pot ratio, I think you would just want to check or jam.
I'm not sure.
Because I don't
think you want to bet like 200 or 250 or 300. I think
the jam is also a good option here because Rolly's range is not very a6 heavy on this board. If he calls the flop, he only has a7 in the seated, right?
But maybe he has ace queen, maybe ace queen. And I think with this combination, I think it's good because you block the strongest queen x, which like would call a jam on the turn. If he decides to call with his queen x, which should be like top of his range, he would like certainly be calling with king queen, and you block that, and yeah, I think both is fine. I think check and jamming is both fine.
My thought was, what do I want to accomplish with that specific bet? And I think accomplishing folds from 4s, 5s, 6s, 7x.
I think
floats,
5 bluffs.
10,
5
5,
bluffs
4.
would I jam preflop.
You were 30 big blinds deep, right, on the start of the hand?
30 big blinds deep.
Yeah, so my callings are 4s, 3s, and 2s in our preflop ranges.
A question I would have, Roli, would you 4-bet jam like any small to medium pocket pairs in this spot? 30 big blinds?
Yeah, like 5s plus.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think giving up on the turn is fine.
And 7x. The thing is, I have still my ace x with backdoor flush draws like ace 8, ace 9,
the ones.
ace 10, ace 6.
But not that many, I would guess, with this deck.
And I still have a lot of queen x. I have queen check suited, queen 10 suited, queen 9 suited, queen 8 suited, queen check off is also in the calling range. So I don't fold those hands.
Yeah, I think giving up. The thing is, what other bluffs do we have if we give up this one? We have check 10, 4 combos. We have. We can jam the turn flush draws.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna just run the simulation and gonna get down to there, I think.
I would also say it would be like a nice thing to have the 10 of clubs in this spot, because you like block queen 10 of clubs, which would call it jam.
Yeah, but I think any queen would call.
Yeah.
You think any queen has to call?
Yeah.
Turn jam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends.
Maybe
if I'm
you can fold
enough.
like queen 8 suited.
Yeah, that was the question. I did decide to go for a small sizing, which in hindsight I'm not a fan of. Yeah, but
with this deck to pot ratio, I personally also don't like it that much.
I think it's fine because I can bet value hands the same sizing. But I think on the turn, in theory, I should just have a jam or a check, mostly. But and then once he calls the turn, I think it's a pretty clear give up.
What did you have, Ronnie?
Aces.
Oh.
I wanted to thank Colin River when he jams. I was prepared to waste my entire time bank.
Slow roll, huh?
And then the same happened to me when Mario Tank called me with aces when I jammed like with
it was
blinds
tough.
with king high and small blind,
sure.
and he just tanks and calls with aces.
That was an interesting one on the turn where I didn't know what to do, how to construct range. I think on the flop in position, I think a small sizing is fine. The problem that I have is that he has all over pairs. I don't. He has some 7x. I don't. I have only ace-7, which I also sometimes 3-bet bluff. So I really have hardly any 7x, and he has all 7, king 7s suited, I guess, but ace-7 for sure, 7-8 for sure, 6-7 I think is also in there.
I would think that I don't think that he has much 7x. I think his stronger 7x he should be betting on the flop.
He has all the overpairs.
He has all the overpairs, but you block like queens and jacks, which is good.
Yeah. That's why I don't think I should bet too much on this board. But I think with the flush draw and I can call the check raise is fine. But
you also have a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, so
yeah.
Which is good.
On this one. Fabio, I hear the sigh that's against you. Remember what that was?
Huh?
You remember this one?
Yeah, I had a 10 and a heart in my hand. And on the river, I think also I'm.
You folded?
Huh?
Bro, you folded that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted
to.
Is
our folding machine.
No, because I wanted to jam the turn. So because on this turn, I think maybe you will bet yeah.
You wanted to check jam the turn.
Yeah, I wanted to check jam the turn, and on the river it is close, so I think I don't have any 8, and I just beat your bluffs, and I had 1 heart in my hand too. and it was
You had
I
ace 10 Fabi, or
ich glaube King 10,
King 10 with the King of Hearts?
yeah.
Okay.
And on the river it was really close because on the turn also I wanted to check jam the turn.
Yeah.
But I think I have to yeah, I have to
You have to bet, you mean, or what?
yeah, I have to bet on the turn also afterwards. So I think it is much better to bet the turn.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I think on the river for me it doesn't make sense. Also for me it's it is
Yeah,
hard.
the thing is, Mario has all the 8x in his range, and you also block his flush draws, like his queen, jack, king, queen, king, jack of hearts. So that's not good.
And yeah, that is my opinion. So it was. I think I misplayed the hand on the turn, in my opinion, and yeah, I have to.
But what would you?
I was debating the turn. If I want to start betting queen jack suited, it's obviously, I guess, good enough to bet call.
Yeah, I would also say.
But it's also fine to have it in the checking back range and realize the equity. But I think a pair flush draw is like almost like, for example, ace 5 in hearts, I think is almost always a check back, or king queen in hearts. I mean, it's almost a little the same category as queen check, but if the 9 wouldn't be there, I think it's almost always a check. If with the 9, I think we can comfortable bet call it. So that's why I'm torn, and I think it's more like a mixed on the turn. But I think it's also good to have these kind of hands in the check back range. So I decided to go for check back, but I'm gonna run the sim with it. So gonna.
A question I would have on the flop is, what would you think of in Fabi's shoes with king 10 with the king of hearts to like just check call, to like not load the pot out of position too much? You don't need that much protection from overcards and flush draws because you have the king of hearts.
I disagree. Sorry, Fabi, you go.
Yeah, I think on this turn I have so there are a lot of bad river cards.
I mean on the flop. On the flop.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
on the flop to just check call.
No, I think because I have also for me it's a clear value hand, and he doesn't. He, in my opinion, he doesn't have a lot of 7x. So maybe he has 7-9 suited, 7-8 suited, and yeah. But all in all, I don't think that. So with my hand, I think I have to get my money in, and yeah, and I think on the turn it is also for me a hand.
Yeah, on the turn there are like many bad river cards, so like you want to get the money in.
On the flop, I think it's a very clear, like I don't have a 7 hardly ever. I don't have an overpair ever. I have some 10s, but most of them are weaker than the king 10. Therefore, I should be betting not too much on the board. But some, and if Fabi is not check raising his strongest hand, which is king 10 plus, I would say, has all his overpairs.
Yeah, I also think he should be like raising some top pairs, but I would like say without a heart, or maybe like king 10.
No, I think he should check raising all the strongest king. Okay. I think he's check calling queen 10, check 10, because it's weaker than my king 10, ace 10 suited. That's a disadvantage of check raising then. But once he checks and has the king 10, he's almost always going for the check raise, in my opinion. Because if he's not, he's allowing me to just overstep and realize my equity. Because like, what's the line? If he's check calling, turn is often gonna be check, and then I realize full equity for 25% pot bet on the flop. And he needs to charge me. He can bluff a lot as well with all his queen check of club, king check of clubs, ace 8 of clubs, ace 9 of clubs. I think it can check raise most of these on the flop, because it can pick up a flush draw or a gut shot or straight draw on the turn quite often. and he's putting me in a really tough spot because we both know that that I have a really capped range and he doesn't. So that makes it really difficult for me to play against the check raise strategy. Rather, it gets really interesting, really easy for me if he's just check calling his 10x. So instead of check calling, I think I would rather like to see himself betting a big sizing on the flop, because he just also wants to bet there with quite some frequency. So once he check raises, I think he's close on the turn. I have some 10-9, but not too many. And he's basically one combo of 10-9 that I could still have. So I think he has a clear value bet on the turn. Sizing wise, I think 60%, something like 600 is fine, which makes it difficult for real, but like 500 to 600, I would say. And charges the weaker 10x, and if the river blanks, he can shove. And if the river gets dicey like an 6, I think it's a fair candidate to check call. And once it goes check on the turn, Fabi,
Yeah, for me,
I don't have
for
an
sure I
ace.
have to call. I think also afterwards, I think it's a pure call for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if it's check on the turn, even I'm debating if I want to lead out King 10. I never have an 8 here, except Ace 8 in hearts, maybe, which I'm also 3-betting quite some frequency.
8s.
I don't think 8s should be
fine.
like betting and calling a check raise on the flop. I don't think.
The thing is, he should check a lot in his position. So I think betting with 8 or having a small sizing with a lot of hands like 8s.
But would you call a check raise with 8s on the flop?
With a heart, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was gonna run this one. Let's go through them a little quicker and just get them if we want.
I'm very curious on the PO sim, what the PO is going to say to this hand.
Yeah, I think it's fine to give that one up. My thought was on the turn, you're never betting an ace.
Me.
You're never betting an ace high or king high, so against your give ups, I'm good on the river. And if I'm bluffing against a 6, 7, 9, or a 10. And I think you're just always check calling those. You're never gonna fold right in the river.
I don't know. I was preparing the check jam. No.
Sure.
I don't know.
There was one. Another one was this one. That was interesting. I'm gonna run this one. It was button against big blind. Let's say 40.
So Fabian, are you saying you should have called on the river? Is there a question in the chat?
So Fabi, you're saying you should? Yes, for sure. His hand is just too strong. I have very little 8x, and I still have all the flush draws that I'm checking back.
But I still think having the king of hearts is not a great card.
The thing is, he bets his king high and queen high flush, or you bet the king and queen high flush draw, but check back the ace high flush draws, I think. So, because with the king high and queen high flush draws, you gain a lot of his ace x, which are insta folds. Yes, a lot of them, like the weak ace x. And with the ace high flush draw, you more decline to check back. So, with the king of hearts, he do block a lot of bluffs. So, I can see the point of Martinho.
Yeah, I personally I don't.
No, way too up.
He's just the problem. Yeah, but I think the problem is he only beats bluffs and he blocks. He's blocking your bluffs. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's very tricky. I'm curious what PO is going to tell us, but I would not love it to call there on the river.
King 10 is the lowest value hand you check raise on the flop, I guess. Don't check.
Yeah, but one of the upper ones that you come to the river with. Because he's betting all the over pairs on the turn. And once he's check raising, he has a lot of bluffs, and he wants to.
But maybe he thought also with overpass, I check raised the.
Yeah, maybe he's also planning to check jam the turn or check raise the turn with jacks, queens, kings.
I think the check raise twice line doesn't make any sense on this
Yeah,
board.
yeah. But I think he
Like,
also
none.
does it with the other hands. Why should he go for the check raise with king 10 and not with queens? Or...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he's checking back, if he's checking the turn, I think he's a lot of give ups, and that's why I decided to bluff the river. As I'm not sure if he showed the end of the hand of queen check, but it was I was debating the turn, wasn't sure, decided to go for the check back, and then river is the 6, and I was debating what sizing, but I think I can fold out a lot of his stronger check raises than mine, which are not that many, to be honest.
Did you put Fabi on like 10x on the river?
No, I would never think that he.
What was your like? What was it? The perceived range of him for you?
It's super narrow.
Because the problem for you is also if he check raises the flop with bluffs, I think he would do it with hands exactly like queen jack of hearts, which you have in your hand.
I think the best check raises are like ace 9 and ace 8 with the ace in hearts.
I agree.
Yeah.
With ace queen, ace jack, ace king,
I also like.
He's just check calling with ace king, ace queen, ace jack. But with ace 8, ace 9, I think I like the check raise on the flop with the ace in hearts.
Someone is asking in the chat, like, Fabian, what did you put Mario on when he called your raise on the flop? I think yeah, it's still pretty wide range. But what would you say?
Yeah, for sure. For me, also I didn't expect that he had a 7. Because also, so yeah, maybe a lot of
he just has maybe 8-7, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe some 8. Also he also has 8-9 suited. He has a lot of flush draws, broadways.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, check 10 suited and queen check suited. So then
like flush draws, 10x and 9-8. I would say
draws, and I think it is really hard to say because he in position he can bet a lot of hands small, and after he calls it is a lot of broadways and flush draws. And
I think it's very once I bet call the flop, it's very narrow, 10x and flush draws, and that's
9-8 maybe 10x 9-8 and
of course the open enders and maybe something like queen check of clubs.
Yeah, that was my question. Would you have like many bet folds on the flop, like king queen, king check of clubs, for example? How would you check back those hands or like bet fold on the flop?
Yeah, I have for sure what I want to like bet fold at all.
Yeah, that's also what I was thinking. Yeah, if you have any bet folds on the flop,
something like.
Because I think with king queen of clubs, for example, you want to like realize your equity, right? Queen of clubs, for example.
Yeah, but I also benefit a lot from betting small and folding out his air and getting check called and being able to apply pressure in later streets. It's I think a hand that I think is fine to bet small and then fold to raise is something like ace 5 in clubs or queen 9 in clubs, which doesn't have the overcard. Yeah, that's what but since I bet so small, I'm fine with not having too many bluffs. Yeah, so let's go to the queen 9 hand. That's where I wasn't sure. I think the issue is that you turn so many straights. Flop is pretty clear, small size, I guess.
It was against me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He goes for a check call.
Yeah, check 9.
On the turn, it gets tricky. He has 16 combos, straights.
I was debating on check raising the turn.
Yeah, but not.
I don't think my exact holding was like good for that. I had I made I floated the flop a little wide. I had Queen Jack of diamonds.
What?
Yeah,
Queen check.
you like
Wait,
sized,
actually,
I think,
no. Queen check, I think it's fine. I
yeah,
think
because you sized like 25%. I think I have
yeah.
back to flush draw, I have back to straight
sure.
draws. So I think versus a small sizing Queen Jack of diamonds is okay to peel.
Yeah.
And then on the turn, I thought like I have all the 5-6. I have many 2-pair combos like 8-4 suited, 7-4 suited. I was debating on check raising the turn, but
not that
I
many.
don't saw many merits at the end. So I
Like
just
yes,
called.
you have all the straight combos at 16, but you don't want to always check raise them. And 2-pair combos is not that many. It's
That's true, because I only have 8-4 suited, 7-4 suited, and
4
that's only
combos,
one
2
combo
pairs.
left.
Yeah, that's four combos.
Yeah, exactly.
Total.
8-7. I have 8-7. I have ace-4, of course.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have some strong hands here. I think I have 6-5. I have 7-4 suited, 8-4 suited, ace-8, ace-7, ace-4.
Yeah. Ace-4 too is 3 combos. So you have 7 combos that you turn 2, but you also want to have them in the check calling range, because otherwise you can just barrel through.
Yeah.
So that makes the spot tricky for you to check raise on the turn, especially if I use this big sizing. I think you not want to check raise too much there.
When you bet that big, I hated live, because it was pretty exciting, but I cannot fold my flush draw. So.
Yeah, and on the river, I think you still continue on the turn with a lot of 8x, some 7-5, 7-6.
Yeah, I think mostly 8x or 7x with like you said, with the gut shot, like 7-5, 7-6, 8-5, 8-6. I think like Queen 8, for example, or especially 10-8 and 9-8, I'm folding out because I'm blocking your like 10-9 bluffs, maybe, or Jack-9 bluffs. So yeah, my 8x are like 8-6, 8-5.
Yeah. On the river, I don't have a great card with the 9 of diamonds.
That's true.
I think it's mostly.
You could have checked it just down, man. You just could have checked it down.
I think it's often a check down, to be honest, especially with this card, because like the worst card to have. But I was just feeling it.
You could have just checked it down, and I would have won with Queen High.
Too wide there still. And I have so many. I have a clear value bet with even ace 10, I think, because I see you calling. Wow. I can see you calling with an 8 a lot, to be honest, and I've seen you calling with an 8 a lot.
But
I think that the weakest triple barrel is like maybe ace jack, sometimes ace 10.
I would say ace jack, because ace 10, I don't know.
Yeah, but then obviously all the 2 pairs, ace 7, ace 8, ace 4, 6-5 suited, 4 combinations, all the sets. I have so many value hands that, but also if I bet check 9, I have also so many bluffs. So I have to be very careful there. And I think since I have the 8, 9 in diamonds, and since we want to play theoretical sound, I think I should check back this combination. But I was feeling that I get it.
If you think I would call down pretty light, why would you bet the river? You just wanted to win the pot, right?
Good point.
But I disagree that I would like call down pretty light. I don't think I'm calling down. I think my call downs are like very ace X heavy, and maybe I'm calling down like King 8 suited or something like that, where I block your ace kings, or Queen 8 suited, maybe where I block ace queen.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think if I call down, I call down mostly with like 2 pair, like obviously my straights, and ace X heavy. I'm
curious about this one. Yeah, I think I clearly misplayed this one. It's just a give up on the river. It's check on the flop, and now name is bets. I think I can even fold on the turn already.
Yeah. Because there are so many bad rivers to continue.
Yeah, and once the 8 of spades comes, Roland made a very good point. Like, yes, I think I can get a fold from an 8 and a 9, and I prevent him from bluffing me off the pot. However, I also mostly lead my flush draws on 10x on the river on the turn. So my jack call line and lead on the river doesn't make much sense. So I think I really misplayed this one. Yeah, and I go for a lead. He tanks forever, and then he puts me all in. And I think he bluffed me. Pretty sure, actually.
Do you
Thanks
think?
for. I would say so.
I don't. Well, I know Nemi a little bit, and I don't think he has like many bluffs on this river. I think he was probably contemplating like raising his 10x for value or like jack 10, but I don't think he has many bluffs yet.
But yeah, I don't need to run a sim there to know that it's
No.
not right. Surely not. So, okay. Did you guys boom them, Oli? I put your Pokero.
I didn't boom anything.
Wait a second. I think I boomed some hands.
Okay. Let's go till 4 p.m.
Yeah,
which 25 minutes. I gotta go then too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find you. How do you pronounce your?
Mat1 NHO, like with a big großes M on the beginning.
Yeah.
Cannot find me. That's.
No, don't find you.
Don't know why.
Ja, der Oswin ist Final 10 oder im PLO Championship. Oder?
Nice. Fabio, did you boom some? Name me for sure. I know his screen name.
I think.
Okay.
Name me 14.
Actually, let's I promote him here. Let's run these spots together on Pile Solver. I think that's the most valuable. We show that. How are we gonna approach it? Let's do one together. Okay, make that a little bigger. So let's do the single raise pot button against big blind 40, big blind deep.
Mm-hmm. You can make like a little tutorial now.
Yeah, I think most of the players know how to use it, but gonna open a new sim, close this one, and then we go to post-flop tree building. First, we want the tree. I have it saved here, Mario study tree. Then we have all the sizing with 25, 40, 80, 160, 40, 80, 160, 40, 80, 160, and the same on the other side. We want to not include rake, and we want to stop calculations at 0.5. So in position is open raising 40 big blinds deep button. So that's the range here, 49.5%. I think that's pretty accurate. And then flatting is also already saved. 40 blinds deep, big blind versus button flat call. That's 39%. I think that's also fine. Put some of the 3-bet bluffs with the king, suited kings. And the aces. And what really helps is if we want to, like, for example, if we just put this range in by just by putting that in, we want to make it easy for us once we use once we want to use the range again. So we just click on save current range, and then the files. Here we go to open raising, and we have 40 blinds deep. We already put them in. But if, for example, we want to put a new range in, we just make a new folder, test range, open the folder, go to test range, and put the test range in, and then we save it. So we can just go out here, and now we want to put the test range in the out of position range. So we click on out of position, And then we just need to find the folder, which was under the ranges. And then here is the folder test range. That's always with the plus. So like if you want to go in the next folder, you just click on this. Then we have open bracing, flattening, and here's the test range. And then we have it saved here. And so we just click on it, and then we have absolutely the same range. So next time we want to have button against BlickByte, we just go to test range again. So that we don't have that saved up, we just go here, our study session, and then we, oh no, let's just click on save current parameters, Mario, nope, second. And if I want to delete that again, I think I can just here, click here on right click and delete, and then have it away again. So for the out of position, we want flattening and 3-betting, 40 blinds, big blind versus button, flat call range, 40 blinds deep. So that's that. So now we have the big blind button range and the big blind range, 40 blinds deep, single raised pot. So these are pretty accurate. Obviously, every change that you make, PO is gonna change the outcome a little bit. So be pretty specific what ranges you put in that's making the most impact of the strategy. If you leave some hands out, that makes a lot of change. So that's where you have to be very accurate to put what range in. And now we add the last two things that we need to put in is the board. What was the board? It is, just go here, run the hand. The board is ace, 8, 7 rainbow. So suits don't matter. So
it was ace of diamonds, 8 of hearts, and
yeah, suits are not that important because we just put the right one. Starting pot, we always want to do that in big blind, so it's easy to do it later. So we started the hand approximately, I would say, with 40 blinds. So even though I have 37, I just rounded up to like have parameters because the spot space the same if you have 40 or 37. So we raise 2.1x. So we have after the hand, we have about 38 blinds left. We always take 10 as the big blind, so we always know what the big blind is later. Because if you change it on the blind on the actual chip amount, then it's hard to know how many blinds that was once you solve the tree later on. So if it's call, it's 510 chips in the middle, so that's 51. And that's pretty much it. We put in the bet sizes, we put the two ranges in. It's very important to put the right ones in, how they interact together. Then you could put in ICM. The ICM structure, if you want to use ICM, you can just put the payouts up. Okay, it's not, where is that? Oh yeah, here. You can just put the stacks in and the payouts, because that changes the strategy quite a bunch. But we're not including rake and we're not using ICM, and then that's pretty much it. So not more to add. It looks overwhelming working with PU at the first.
If you've done it like 2 or 3 times, I think it's
yeah. And then we want to stop the calculation if we have 0.5% of the pot. I think is a good range to like stop, and you get a pretty accurate result. So now we want to see how big the tree is. Estimate tree size is 17 megabyte. We see we have 8200 gigabyte, 182 gigabyte available RAM. So computer power, and we just built the tree. So that takes a few seconds, around a minute, then the tree is built. And once the tree is built, then you just click on go, and then it solves until the desired accuracy is reached, which takes about, I would say 40 minutes. Okay, tree build, okay, that was fast. So we can just go and go. And now you see solver started. Since solver is now working, we could go ahead and put the next hand in. And it's easy because you can just click on the right button, go on Pure Shortcut, and you can run 2 sims at the same time. The only limitation is how much space your computer has. So since we want to run these 4 hands, the first one is Ace. So we can put here now running. So we know the sim is running. And the next one is hijack against cutoff 1077. So we need a hijack opening range and a cutoff flat call range. I'm not sure if we have that yet, but out of position is hijack opening range at 40 blinds. So that's pretty easy. 40 blinds deep, hijack open raise. That's the range. So we want to put it out of position, of course, because we get the flat caller from the cutoff in position. So flat call range, I think I have not done that yet. Yes, we have not done it yet. So I'm gonna put it up on the left here and just gonna go for cutoff versus MP range to have as a guideline, and it looks the following. So we have the ace 4, we're 3-betting ace 5, ace 6, ace 7, 4, and then we have the queen check, queen 10, king 8, king 7, 8 7, 7 8, 6 7, 6s, 5 4s, 3s, deuces, 5 for suited, and then we also want to call 9s, 10s, and checks, 9s and 10s actually. So that changes it actually a lot. These are the hands that we want to call and fold to a squeeze. Ace check. Actually, I thought my range is way weaker than that, but it's actually no. Ace queen. Interesting. Okay, that changes my strategy, of course. King, queen, and queen check off. 7s. 8 as well. And then the half frequency that we want to 3-bet and we want to call sometimes with these hands. Check 9, queens, ace check, ace 10 0, and I think that's on pretty much fitting. So we go here, save current range, ranges, flatting and 3-betting, flatting, 40 blinds deep, cut off versus MP. It's obviously a little bit different, but here I have the range put in. Don't have a cutoff versus hijack range, so I just use cutoff versus MP range. Flat call 40 blinds deep. So I save that and have that as out of position, in position range, sorry. So go here, flat calling, flatting, 40 blinds deep, cutoff versus MP, flat call. Okay, so that's the in position range, and we have 10 7 7, 10 of hearts 7 7, and effective stack size is the same, 40 blinds deep like before. We again want to not include rake, put the accuracy right, and then we can build the tree. Can't do that when it's always running. Clear lines.
Bro, you used the wrong peel tree.
Shit. Yeah, my mistake. Yeah. Okay, this one is running already. So I want to use this tab that I new opened, obviously, because we want to have where it's solving this spot already, so we cannot disturb that. So we need to go in here. But since we already have the ranges in place, it's very fast to do it. Flatting, 40 blinds deep, cutoff versus MP
The
flat
tree,
call.
you have firstly to put
yeah.
your tree.
True, because it changes everything once I do the study, change the study tree, which puts me the sizings in, and then I have to do the ranges. Cutoff versus MP flat call, and then out of position is a hijack open. Go to open raises, 40 blinds deep, hijack open raise. Okay. Then we have 51 in the pot, 38 behind. And then the flop is 10, 7, 7. And now we can run it again. Not include rake. And build tree. Takes a few seconds. And then we are good. And the last hand that we want to know what the actual theoretical approach would be was 3-bet pot small blind against button. Same stuff. Okay, we want to start this one too. So we now have 2 running, and the last one is a 3-bet pot. We go here again, right click, view shortcut, opens a new tab. And the ranges is 3-betting out of position. I have to pull up the range here. How deep? I think 30 deep, 30 blinds deep. 30 big blinds deep, small blind against button. Okay. We want to 3-bet A7. King check off. And then half of the time, we want to 3-bet King 8, A7, Ace 8. That's 0.6. That's fine. Ace 9, half of the time. And then obviously 9s, half of the time. And then our hands that we want to broke, which are aces, kings. We're jamming ace queen, but I think it's fine to put it in the 3-betting range as well. King, queen, suited, queens, 10s. Bless you.
Bless you, Rolly.
Thanks.
And then half of king check. I think that's fine, the 3-betting range. So again, we go save current parameters, raising range, flatting and 3-betting, new folder because we don't have a 3-betting range there yet. 3-betting. No, I mean. And now I want to save it as SB versus, or I want a new folder with the stack size first. New folder, 30 big blinds. Small blind versus button, 30 big by 3-betting range. Okay, we have that saved up. And we have that as out of position range. And now the in position range is calling 3-betting. That gets very tricky. So we're calling all suited aces. King 4. Can check this portion of the range. 9, 7, 7, 8. 4s and 3s. Ace 10, Ace 9. Yeah, and then we can decide, I think we have aces and kings here always. And the other hands are 4-bet jams. I think he's jamming 5s plus. think you can put in fives half of the time, and then I think that's his jamming range. Actually, I think king queen is.
I would also say king queen offsuit is in his calling range.
Mostly in his range.
Yeah, most that.
So, and ace jack is also not that great of a 4-bet jam hand. So I would also put it in. Safe current range, flatting and 3-betting, new
Calling 3-bets, right?
calling 3-bets.
40 big blinds deep, new folder for.
Oh yeah, for the big blind steep, exactly. For the big blind steep. Button call versus his. Yeah. Button call versus 3-bet. Save that, and now we have it here. Add that, and then pretty much the same thing. Actually, now you see what I mean. If I click now on the study tree, here it fills in the sizes, but it also clears the ranges. So I have to put in the ranges again. So always the tree first, but it's no problem. I can just go on calling 3-bets, 40 blinds deep, button call, and I have it there in a second. And out of position is 3-betting, 30 blinds deep. Actually, it was 30 blinds deep, not 40. So I need to change that. If we go here. Rename 30 blinds deep. Yeah. So we have that here. Put that in. That's the 3-betting out of position range. And now we need to go back to the board. I think it's here. No, where do I have it? Nope. Here. It's Queen 7-3 rainbow. Queen 7-3. Effective stack size is. Okay, I'm gonna open it. It's gonna run the hand. So in the pot are on the flop 14 and a half big blinds.
Mm-hmm.
So 145, and we have behind 25 big blinds. So, and then we have the same situation again. We want to exclude rake because it's not a cash game. And besides that, in position is accurate, out of position is accurate as well. So yeah, we can just build the tree. That should not take too long because the range is very defined. It's such a small. So short stack, the more short stacks is, the less trees are available. So we can run it, and it usually runs faster. As you see here, this one is exploitable for 1% of the pot, so it's almost done. And this one here is at 3%. Yeah, so we've done it for like 10-15 minutes now, so it usually takes a little bit to get it done. But yeah, I'm curious what comes out with all these three. Then we can just adjust our POSIMS sheet to running, so we know we have these three available, and then we know after that how we should have approached the spot. And I think that's overall a good approach. So yeah, I would say thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone is still here. It was a long session. It was very improvised, but I hope you can still could take away.
Found some value, hopefully.
One last question: have you worked with GTO Plus as well? If so, what are your thoughts? No, I don't know what. I have not worked and not aware of that. Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for still being here. It's awesome, and looking forward to talk to you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Okay. What did Johannes say? If I need to end it.
I'm the co-host. I can Yassi hauen.
Do it. Can I just end it and or do I need to say whatever?
Yeah, I just leave, right?
Me too.
See you guys.
Cheers.